I'm here with Amanda Goetz, the founder and CEO at a company called House of Wise. They are helping women with sleep, sex, and stress through a luxury CBD company, which is actually a great part of the cannabis plant, which I'm sure Amanda will talk a lot about. But yeah, it's great to have you here, Amanda. I've been following you on Twitter for what seems like ages, even though you just informed me that you've only been on for a year and a half. So, so I'm not sure if that just means the internet moves at light speed or what, but you know.
I tweet a lot, so it's probably just like, oh, she just is tweeting again.
I do. I run across your tweets every single day. You're always in my feed. I love your tweets. They're great. I mean, you really drop a lot of knowledge and inspiration and just speaking the truth about being an entrepreneur. You're also a mom, and you're building. You've been involved in other businesses as the CMO at a company called Teal, I believe, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you also worked at the Knot.
Yep, I headed up brand and product marketing there.
Amazing. So before the way I like to start each episode is I like to ask a question. Who are you and what are you building right now? So kind of give us a little flavor of that. Obviously, I introed you, but I'd love to hear it straight from your mouth.
Who am I and what I'm building?
Yeah.
Okay, so the who am I? That's just like a very general question, but I'll answer it in a maybe spicier way. But I mean, I'm the type of person that has lived a lot of life and in a short amount of time. And I think that a lot of the things that I've experienced are things that people normally would call something that you should like sweep under the rug, don't talk about. And I'm the type of person that thinks I should talk about these things because everyone's going through them and I shouldn't feel guilt and shame for having gone through them, and neither should anyone else. And if I have to be the one that goes first to talk about them, I will, because that opens up space for the people next to me and behind me to also feel comfortable. And so that's just who I am as a human. And I basically brought that into a company that gives women not only that community to open up about those things, but also content and resources, and then the actual products, which in our world is cannabis products that help women feel more in control and in the driver's seat of their lives, and removing stigma around needing help. Because I believe like we've reached this point where women have lots of options, but now that we have all these options, every option comes with a side of guilt because you're choosing something over something else. And there's still generational and cultural things that we were imprinted with that I believe it's really, really important that we have an arena that says whatever you choose in life, like you should feel guilt-free.
Mm-hmm.
That's not always the case. And so let's give you some help and people to support you along your journey.
For sure. Oh my God, that rings so true for me. I've been taking medication all my life, and like because I mean that's what we were told growing up. Like, you know, you treat your issues with medication that kind of it doesn't deal with the problem. It just kind of blocks the symptoms.
Yep.
And I've learned so much since I've started exploring cannabis. But before we get to that, though, I want to talk about the name, because the name is interesting. I read on the website a little bit about why you named it, but I'd love to hear you tell the audience why you chose the name House of Wise for the company.
I was in India right as COVID was starting. So like people were wearing masks on the plane. And I remember being like, is this good? I don't know, but I'm going anyway. And so I went there. I was on a work trip, but I got to go to like the Taj Mahal, and it was amazing. And I remember I knew I wanted to build this company. Like it was just, I couldn't stop thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
And on this trip, I allowed myself to just think about the brand only and really think about what it needed to stand for. And so I started researching just women in history that weren't taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
And Brownie Wise's story stuck out to me. And when I read her story, it resonated on a very, very personal level, but also at a macro level. So Brownie Wise is the creator of the Tupperware party, meaning she invented this idea that women have influence and they can bring their friends and family together and sell Earl Tupper, who is the creator of the like kitchen storage thing, they can sell this and they can make money off of selling it. And that gives them more like after the war, just like an empowered feeling that they're making money on their own, they're influencing their community, and they're a part of a bigger mission. Earl Tupper, he, when Brownie asked to have like an executive seat and a raise and, you know, more like really just like rewarding for her work, he ended up realizing that he should just fire her because the company had become so big. So he fired her and sold the company a few months later for millions of dollars, and she got nothing.
Wow.
Like literally nothing. And so there's a couple of parts of this. Like one, this happens all the time in our society, that women take the brunt. Like even if it's an assistant in an office, they're like enabling the company to grow, or a mom that's enabling her husband to go out and build his career, but she doesn't. Like when you go through a divorce, there's not a lot of protection of the woman. Like you are enabling somebody to go build something bigger. And then there's the piece of like treating women like the influencers that we are. And whether that's 5 people in your neighborhood, like a Tupperware party, or 5,000 on Instagram, like women have influence and women are looking to other women to guide them in their purchase decisions. And in the cannabis industry, that is like 10x the thing. Like I am only going to trust someone that I know that they've had a great experience, because the cannabis industry has lack of quality control, inconsistency in product all the time. Like if you've ever had a bad trip on an edible, like you know what I'm talking about. It is not fun.
No, it's
and if,
not.
No, and if you're a high functioning human, like I was an executive, I had 3 kids under the age of 4 when I started learning about cannabis. And I was like, I can't just trust anyone. Like I have to wake up the next day and go on CBS Good Morning and need to be on, or I have a board meeting tomorrow. Like I'm not trying to get stoned. I'm trying to function and not drink alcohol.
Yes.
And so yeah, anyway, long story short, it's named after Brownie Wise, the creator of the Tupperware party.
I love that. I don't know if you saw me, but I'm here just shaking my head. Yes, yes, yes. I love everything you're saying. It's just so true. And I just love what you're doing with this company, because we'll talk about how you built this affiliate network in a little bit, but and I think that also kind of rings to the inspiration of Brownie Wise. So we're gonna get to that, but that's really cool. Before we do though, let's talk a little bit about what made you try CBD in the first place, because I know, you know, if you look at the House of Wise website, you know, you have a whole story on there, which I mentioned, you know, prior to you, that really rings true to me, because I had never tried anything cannabis, any cannabis product up until I was 29 years old at all. That's CBD or THC, you know, anything like that. In fact, I don't really drink. I mean, I'll take an occasional shot once in a while, but like that's like once in a blue moon. And
Yeah.
just if I'm with a bunch of people, but I don't drink. And for me, cannabis really changed my life. It changed my perspective, my outlook on things. It opened my mind in a way that I feel it just wasn't open before. And I'm curious if you had a similar kind of experience, what your experience was, and what made you try it.
So what made me try it? Let me address that first. So I was kind of at the height of my career managing brand marketing for a brand that I loved dearly, The Knot, and had kind of worked my whole career path to get there. And so leading a big team, and had 3 kids under the age of 4, and I had just filed for divorce. And so I was going through a lot. And you know, you go through therapy. Like I was going to therapy twice a week during this season of life, and I still go once a week, but I was going twice a week at that point. And that's like the processing of something, but the physiological effects of stress and anxiety are real. And sometimes therapy can't help with the physiological effects, like feeling tight and tense and like grinding your teeth and all the stuff that's happening.
Yep.
And so I first was turning to alcohol because that was socially acceptable. That in my upbringing in the Midwest, drinking a beer or a wine, like that's totally acceptable. But cannabis and stoner culture and like what the media has portrayed a stoner to be like had really created a barrier for me to actually accept that. And so, like you, I'm 31, had never touched cannabis, but yet turned to it really out of desperation because alcohol was not serving me. I was having more anxiety attacks, my sleep was shit, like everything that was like negative in my life, I could directly correlate to like, did I have 3 glasses of wine last night? Did I have 2 glasses of wine last night? And now
Yeah.
I'm wrecked the next day. And so that is really what prompted me to start cannabis. And then, as I started to microdose and learn how I felt, for me, it was not necessarily about opening up my brain as much it was I felt more in control.
Mm-hmm.
That all of a sudden it wasn't anxiety that was leading me in my forward emotion that I was trying to manage. It took off the physiological effects of stress so I could logically deal with problems at hand.
I agree. I totally do. And if I could just stop you for 1 second. So my wife, who's actually in the other room in therapy right now, she had a very similar situation as you, where she was drinking to kind of deal with that. And she moved over to cannabis and she doesn't drink anymore. Yep. And it completely changed her life for the better. Stress, anxiety, all those things cannabis can help you with. And it's a learning process. I remember though, the first time she had tried smoking, and she came home from a friend's house who had introduced it to her, and she was nervous that what I was gonna say because I had never done it myself, and she was also nervous that she thought the police were gonna show up and arrest her.
Yeah. It's so bad. Like,
yeah.
The fact that you have to be worried about that, like truly, like I was going through a divorce and I was like, I don't want, this to get out that I'm, using THC or CBD, like, but I was a better mom when I was not stressed or not drinking than, on the flip side. And so one, amazing for your wife. And I'm glad that she's like feeling better and feeling more in control. And the thing I just like would also add in response to what you just shared is that I think that everybody feels like it's an either or, because you hear a lot of people that are like, I don't drink anymore. And for many people, that's like, they can't imagine their life without alcohol right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I always say to someone is they are not mutually exclusive, but you will find that your dependency on alcohol as part of your routine goes away. And you're more intentional about when you drink and why you're drinking. And you feel in control of the outcome of that experience versus this passive, I'm a zombie. I put my kids to bed. I don't even realize I'm walking to the fridge. I grab the bottle of wine. I pour it. I drink it. I pour it. I drink it. And then I go to bed and now I sleep like shit. Like that effect, that routine, you break it. And then now you can be like, I'm going to drink when I'm out with my girls and it's going to be intentional. And I know I'm going to feel like crap a little bit the next day, but that's okay. Cause I really am excited to have that buzz. You feel more intentional about your life.
Yes. Yeah. I'll back you up on that. My wife actually just the other day had a friend come over and they shared a bottle of rosé, but that was like the only time she made that decision. That was like, they planned it. And exactly. Yeah.
Like I go on vacation and if I'm sitting by a pool and I'm like, I'm on vacation, I'm going to have 2 margaritas. Like that is intentional and that's okay too. It's not a either or thing.
Yeah.
And I think being sober curious is totally cool. And I love that this movement is happening. But I think there has been this stigma of being sober that you had a problem before with alcohol and you feel like you're admitting that. It's like, I never had a problem with alcohol. Like I could have it, not have it, whatever. But I feel better when I don't drink every night or like only drink once a month or whatever. So
For sure, for sure. I feel like this is a great topic. We could have a whole separate conversation just surrounding this. I want to go back to your business a little bit and talk about the hardest part of starting a company in the CBD market, being that it's an unregulated market, right? As far as I'm aware, what has been some of the most difficult things? Has it been sourcing the products? Has it been ensuring the consistency? Because I know you guys sell edibles, right? Little gummies.
Yeah, no, that is definitely one of the hardest parts. But I spent a lot of time interviewing hemp growers, seed scientists. All of our products are actually original formulas, so that's one thing to know. We don't like just white label somebody's product and sell it. We like sleep, sex, stress all have active ingredients to help with those end functions.
Uh-huh.
And so that, like, I worked with a team of chemists. We have a head chef to make sure that the gummies have the right flavor profile. So that was a very long process because product quality is the top. Like, yes, you can build a brand around any product, but if it doesn't, one, deliver, and two, like something that people can trust,
Yeah.
then it doesn't matter how great your brand is. So that was what I spent the majority of the time. But that isn't my answer,
Okay.
because in the CBD world, the tech stack and underlying like enablers that you need, like payment processors, merchant banks, even just like technology, even health insurance, for example. Like, there are these like whack-a-mole MRB clauses that come up that when you least expect it. Like, I'm going into, I can't remember if it's JustWorks or Gusto. And one of them was like, sorry, we can't support an MRB. And I was like, I can't have health insurance through you? Like, what? And it was crazy. And so these MRB clauses, which MRB, for people that are listening, is a marijuana related business,
Hmm.
which it's comical because hemp is not marijuana.
Right.
They're both cannabis, but they're different. And so the fact that CBD falls under MRB is comical to me. But these MRB clauses, like, I'll be like, oh, okay, we need an SMS provider. Like, oh, we need, text marketing. Great, no big deal. I research forever, and then I contact, and then one line email. Sorry, we don't support CBD businesses. And I'm like, what?
That is extremely frustrating. I could imagine.
Yeah. So that's my answer. Like, that's the part that every single time I just like,
So is that a legislation issue? Like what is that? How do we get past that?
no. So it's I don't think it's a legislation issue because, like, some VCs, for example, don't have a vice clause, meaning they will not support an MRB. It's a vice clause, but this vice clause usually comes if you take like a couple of onion layers out, um, where their money is coming from, and
Mm-hmm.
like where their LPs are. And some are from Middle East, and very traditional clauses, like they can't invest in a sex company, for example, and we have a sex product. So we have kind of like a double whammy
Yeah, yeah.
where it's like
Damn.
CBD and sex, but these vice clauses are real, and they come from sometimes religious beliefs and whoever's at the top making the rules and funding the money. And uh, yeah, so there are more and more companies becoming, because legislation is leading the way and it's becoming federally legal in more states, from the cannabis, from the THC side, the marijuana side, but recreational cannabis is becoming more legal. So it's helping make it more acceptable, but still, there's a lot of these MRB clauses that you don't anticipate.
For sure, for sure. Man, that I would be very frustrated by that as well. So like how do you go about are there I guess there are specific investors and businesses that do work with MRBs that you just kind of have to seek them out.
Yeah, you asked that question. Like, I'm just very aware upfront. I'm like, hey, I'm not trying to hide anything. We are a cannabis company. We are more than that. We are building a community of women. We are empowering women. We have a content arm. Like, we have all this stuff. But like, first and foremost, we're a cannabis company. Like, are we cool with that? Because if you don't, if you try to like finagle your way in. We're like, oh no, we're just a community company powered by some products that happen to have CBD in it. Like, you're going to waste your time.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's a lot of just like fishing for
Mm-hmm.
the right partners.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's got to be tough, as is any startup. But good. I wish you the best of luck with that, and I hope that in the future that I mean, I just got to say with the way the progressive legislation is going and the way kind of things are shifting here in the U.S. Hopefully that won't be as much of a problem going forward for your business.
I hope not either.
I really hope not, because I think a lot of people. I mean, I think a lot of people would be better off if they tried these products.
It blows my mind that like I can go to Target, buy, CBD or a bottle of tequila, which arguably one is going to hurt me way more than the other.
Absolutely.
And yet Facebook will not let me run a paid ad to my site.
Wow. Yeah. Facebook, I mean, and they control. I mean, they control so much of the market. I mean, I would imagine that would be a huge way for you to get out there and build your business. And you're saying you can't run any Facebook ads at all?
We're currently flagged because of the 2 clauses of MRB plus sex. And then they also call us an MLM, which we're not, because there's no multi-level.
Right.
And so
that doesn't make sense to me. Well, let's talk about that next, because
yeah,
that doesn't make sense to me, because you're building an affiliate network. It's not an MLM.
yeah.
And plenty of businesses out there have affiliate networks. So, I mean, I partake in many of them in terms of for my business, selling their products and taking a commission from the sales that I generate. And I think that's an amazing model. Should you be able to build a community around your product that really likes to evangelize for it?
Exactly. But Facebook, we are the triple threat to them apparently. And we try to run ads that are more like, oh, here's a Forbes article, here's this, but there's workarounds, but it takes an exorbitant amount of time, because
Mm-hmm.
you may just wake up one day and your account's flagged, and then you have to go through like a 3-week review process, and you modeled out potential sales from this, and now you're scrambling. And so I'm taking the opposite approach. I'm like saying that's a nice to have, not a must have. Let's build a company that can exist and grow without Facebook. And if we unlock how paid social can and will work for us, great.
Yeah.
But that's not the model I'm like pitching to investors.
I think that's really smart. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about what are wise women with regard to House of Wise.
Yeah, so we created this notion of wise women. We actually do have a few wise men that
I might have to get involved with my wife after this. I think we're gonna have to sign up.
Please, I would love that.
Yes.
So they try the product, and if they love it and it helps them and they want to tell their friends about it, then they get a very high affiliate commission. We have like one of the highest affiliate commissions on the market, because I'm not giving that money to Google and Facebook, nor do I want to. And I'd rather give it to the women and men that are building this company with me. And so, unlike an MLM, there's no upfront costs, meaning every month you don't have to like buy a set amount of product and sell it. There's no minimums or anything like that. It's truly sell what you can. And there's no recruiting. So you don't have to there's no multi-levels of percentages where like someone at the bottom's making 2% and then the person at the top's making 20%. Like, that's gross and predatory. And you see this person at the top and you're like, that's where I can get to, but only if you then recruit the same amount of people underneath. Like, that is all very gross to me. So we stripped out kind of all those predatory mechanics and said, what does a woman need right now? It's community and support, and having a safe place to talk about the fact that we need help, and then discretionary income. And a lot of women say, like, I love being able to make money that like my partner doesn't touch, or it's truly for me and I get to figure out. And the difference about House of Wise is I firmly believe, like, growing up, I'm a first generation college grad. Neither of my parents went to college. My dad is, the town plumber. My mom helped him build that business, but she was, a stay-at-home mom. And no one taught me about saving and investing and anything. And so I had to learn, myself, and I probably still have lots more to learn and grow in. But one of the reason our kind of like mission is empowering women to take control of their sleep, sex, stress, and wealth is that if you make $700 selling House of Wise this month, we do like Wise Wednesday hangouts and content around like what is Bitcoin? Like what is cryptocurrency? What you're hearing all about it, like what is it? Let's have a discussion. Let's create a safe spot for you to ask questions that you think are dumb, but they're not. And everyone's has them in their head. And we're gonna create a hype crew that's like, I didn't know if it was a real coin either, like whatever, and like totally fine to ask that question. And like NFTs now, it's like, what the heck is an NFT?
Right.
Like,
This
let's
space is
talk
moving
about it.
so fast. It's if it's not, if you're not aware what's going on, it's just moving so fast that like I can't even keep up at half the time. So
No,
it's nothing to feel ashamed of if you're not familiar. And I think what you're doing with creating that space is so great. And so really empowering, honestly, to be able to ask those questions. That's great. So how many? I don't know if you share this information, but I would be curious how many people are in the affiliate program right now? How's it going with that?
yeah. So we launched with 300 wise women, and it's growing, month over
Nice,
month. And uh, yeah, we're trying to build that up. So if you know of anybody that should be a wise woman and wants to be a part of this community, let's send them my way, because that, like I said, that's the only way we grow this company, because
for
Facebook's
sure.
not going to let us.
No, yeah, I love it, and I mean, I've been honestly been keeping track, like I said, of your company and checking out the website every so often, seeing what products you've been offering, and just reading about your journey. And it's clear to me after even speaking today how important the affiliate market is to you. And like my wife and I just recently launched a new site together called Literally Ev, and I think partnering on that and becoming a wise couple.
Love it. You'd be our first wise couple.
I think, yeah, that would be amazing. I think that would be a great idea. We'd love to test out the products and promote them because we are huge cannabis fans, and I think that would be really cool.
Love it.
So obviously the affiliate market is important to you, and you're building it up. Like, what are, like, you talked about how you have those groups where people can come and ask questions about the recent technology changes and things like that, but I also know from having read your website that you offer content marketing courses and things that can help people create content around the Wise brand of products. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we have a Slack channel that everybody's in, talking, sharing. We have different, channels for sex and sleep and stress. And, we have an FML channel, we have a hype crew channel, like you name it. We've kind of got it to support all dimensions of a woman. But one important piece is like, I'm a marketer. I have been for 15 years. And marketing is one of those skills that no matter what area of life you're in, like influencing without authority, like speaking to someone in their lens, and like communicating value props that is through somebody else's like mindset and consumer psychology. All these things are tools that can be used in daily life,
Mm-hmm.
but are also applicable as you're like marketing on social or trying to, communicate to someone the values of House of Wise. So we kind of package those up, and we have different trainings, and we build, whether it's through a Wise Wednesday hangout, like a Zoom course, or just content, or we're just sharing what's working, what's not working, like all these new channels. I mean, TikTok feels old at this point, but like, let's face it, it's like 2 years old, if that.
Mm-hmm.
And so people are like, okay, I think I'm ready to get on TikTok. Like, what do I do? And we have people who are marketers in the Wise Woman community that are like, okay, here's what you do, here's how to record it. Like they'll give like a screen grab of like, here's exactly what to
Love that.
post, so you can like it's truly giving you tools to navigate like things that you just want to have in your back pocket as just a human functioning today.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. I mean, as someone who's building community down here in Florida, the entrepreneur community, we're all about sharing resources and helping each other grow. And honestly, that's the way to do it. That's the way to build a community. I wrote an article about this the other day, literally like 2 days ago, for part of our 10 by 10 writing challenge that we're hosting right now with the Florida Entrepreneurs Club on Clubhouse. And we've gotten like 20 plus people signed up for it in a matter of like 2 or 3 days. And
That's awesome.
we're all writing content. We're all going to aggregate it together and put a post together. It's really great. But one of the articles I wrote was the secret sauce to building communities. And I think one of the keys is to just show up and provide the value. Like, like if there's a space and that you see being underserved or a void, just show up. The fact that you're showing up shows to other people that you care, that you want to help. And I think that really resonates. And that's how you can kind of start building community. But yeah, that's amazing. I'm really glad to hear that you're doing all that. I think, providing the tools and the resource, like I said, is hugely beneficial, because not everyone knows they want to partake, but maybe they just don't have the knowledge to do it. And if you can provide that to them, you can empower them to be part of the community. So
Exactly.
that's great. So let's shift gears back to CBD a little bit and cannabis. How is it? I mean, we talked a little bit about this earlier, but I'm curious, in your opinion, based on your experience so far with cannabis, what would you say some of the best use cases for it are? And I guess that's the question. I know we talked about this a little earlier, but I'm curious if there are any others that you have in mind.
I mean, I was very intentional about starting with sleep, sex, and stress. And because I believe as a woman, those three foundational things all affect one another. Like without a good night's sleep, you're going to not function at your highest the next day. Anxiety is going to hit you more. And then if you don't calm your brain during the day, you're not going to probably get a good night's sleep that night. And then sex, like I think sex feels utilitarian to many people, meaning, okay, this is a thing that I do with my partner, whatever. But what I'm trying to educate women on is like the functional benefits of an orgasm with or without a partner releases oxytocin, which allows you to get a better night's sleep, which allows you to stress less the next day. And so
it's all connected.
Yeah, they're all interconnected, and they're all really, really important to put at the top of your list to say, am I getting a good night's sleep? Am I in control of my anxiety and stress throughout the day? And do I have a personal intimacy routine with or without a partner? Like having an orgasm is healthy, and we should destigmatize that, because many women feel like, oh my gosh, this is just for when I have a person. Like that's not the case. And so we kind of like build content around all three of those things. But for me, that was intentional. And so that's an easy answer for me, because I believe that those three things are so vital to a woman. And cannabis helps with all three of them.
I mean, I'd go as far to say they're important for a man too.
Yeah.
I mean, they're important for everybody. I really love how you kind of distilled it down into those three, categories, and you've built products around them. And because they are so interconnected, it makes sense that you would, use all three. It's not like, it's just really cool. So that's what I'm getting at. So I do wonder though. So, you right now the products are all CBD based. I'm curious if you have any plans to expand into THC based products or any other type of cannabis product.
It's a great question, considering like I do microdose THC, and I have great benefits from that as well. However, when I look at the market, it's like California is like 8 years ahead of everyone else. And so that's like, remove California for a second. I'm still getting questions from everyday women across the US being like, can I take this in front of my kids? Like, should I sit down when I take it?
Mm-hmm.
There is still so much misinformation and lack of education, and still a huge stigma, that I'm solely focused on creating the best quality functional CBD products, meaning there is a functional outcome to each of them, getting women to feel better and trust us, and then product expansion will come based on market demand and consumer insights. I'm probably years away from that because
Mm-hmm.
one, the market, that's not my market and value prop right now. And two, like the amount of distractive licensing and legislation, supply chain like considerations, if you move into THC, are drastically different. Like state by state. Some states, it's a vertical integration mandate, meaning
Right,
you
like
have
in
to go
Florida.
seed table, right? Like you have to own the full vertical supply chain. Some states are not. Some states you get a license, you can, create the product, you can then, go to a dispensary, whatever. So everything's different. And I believe in focus in my life in general. Like I don't take on more than I can chew, and I know what I can handle. And so I think in order to build this brand in the right way, I have to focus.
For sure, for sure. I love that analysis. I've found there have been times where I spread myself too thin, and then I realize I have to cut back and be like, wait a second, I need to focus on what's really important to me and what I'm really striving to achieve. And to do that, I need to do a little bit less because there has to be time, for you to recharge too, right? So
Exactly.
yeah, so I love that, and I think that's great that you've recognized that as well. I feel like, I feel like you mentioned you had tried cannabis when you were 31. Me when I was 29. I feel like 30 is like the new like coming of age like renaissance period. I feel like for many people, it's
100%. Like if I could get my daughters to know that their 20s are going to be for experimentation and identity development,
yeah.
not like you're not going to have every answer. Like I got married when I was 19. And so there are like, I mean, that is like a cultural thing from where I'm from.
Mm-hmm.
But it's no wonder that at 30, I was like, wait a second, this isn't the life that I totally want right now as a 30-year-old. And yeah, I think that relieving the pressure of being, and I mean it comes with biological stuff too, like women feel like they have this ticking clock inside their head, and this is why I can go on a total tangent about why it's important to cover like egg freezing and all of these things so women can take that pressure off and focus on who they want to be first
Mm-hmm.
versus what they feel like they need to do because their future self might want that thing, is really, really difficult. And I think we're constantly looping on that. And so your 20s feel like this race to a life checklist of like, find a
Mm-hmm.
person, have the kids, make sure my career's in order. And it's so stressful. And I think anyone that's like listening, like I am 35, I am just now starting a company, like I'm just now starting over in relationships, and I feel great. Like I feel so in control and empowered because I care less what other people think at this stage of my life.
Yes.
Your 20s, you're just like trying to live for everyone else. And then you hit 30 and you're like, I don't care what people think. Like this is my life. And
Yes.
I've heard from 40-year-olds that it only gets better. So I'm
I,
like,
I I I have the strangest feeling that that's true. I totally can buy into that. I feel it's really true that as you get older, you get more wise.
yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Yes, and that's why another reason why I love the name of your company, House of Wise, because it makes me feel like I'm smart for recognizing the value in it.
I love it.
So last question before we get to the lightning round. I've really enjoyed our conversation.
Same.
So rumor has it, and I've confirmed it just before we started the podcast that you are planning to move to Miami. What are you most excited about, and what made you want to move here?
I am. I am moving to Miami. I'm going to be a Floridian. So what am I most excited about? What made me move? Okay. I'm most excited about like being outside, and when there is sunshine, you feel
Yes.
this
Oh
pull
my
to go
God.
outside.
You do.
It's a magnet. Like you can't just sit at your computer all day. You can't. It's like not acceptable. And so you like getting outside. When I was there for 10 days recently to like look at neighborhoods, I took a walk like 3 times a day, every single day. Even if it
Yeah.
was just like a 20-minute walk, I was like, I gotta go outside. It's so nice out. I'm just gonna go for a walk.
Love that. Oh my
So
God. Yes.
that's number one. Why did I choose Miami? So I've been in New York City for the last, I mean, over a decade. I had all 3 of my kids there. I was a New Yorker for life. Then COVID
Same,
hit. Yeah.
honestly. Yeah.
And then COVID hit. And all of a sudden, we are confined to small apartments. And everything about New York City, the reason you spend that money to live in New York City is because of the energy of the people, the city, and everything it has to offer. The restaurants, the culture, the museums, the shows, like you name it. None of that existed. And so
Mm.
now all of a sudden the things that rose to the priority list are, you know, space and outdoor time and warm weather. And so I made it to Charlotte. And then we were like, okay, we don't know how long it's going to take for everyone to go back to New York. And we want to have at least another year to assess. And we kind of are heading in. And when I say we have a very modern family. I'm so fortunate that I co-parent with an amazing human and we make these decisions together. And we're like, this could be for forever. This could be a long-term decision, but like, let's go down and just see how we feel and go from there.
I love that. All right, I'm gonna show you something. I just lifted my wrist up. I just took my watch off. I was at the beach yesterday for most of the day. I did some clubhousing from the beach too.
Love it.
And oh my God, the beach. First of all, I never appreciated the beach, even growing up in New York and having access to go to the beach. And I went every summer with my family, but I never appreciated it until recently. And I think like just life changing. I have to go back to the beach more often.
I have a hot take though. Like as
Yeah.
a Midwestern girl who's lived in New York, like I have a love-hate relationship with the beach because I hate sand.
I
It
hated
feels
sand too, up until
everywhere.
yesterday.
And like 3 hours later, I like crunch a piece of sand and I'm like, oh, that was disgusting. And like gave me goosebumps. And so I'm gonna have to get over that, but that's my hot take.
Yeah, no, that's a fair take. And honestly, up until yesterday, that was my take. I went yesterday, my wife has been going since we moved down here, and I was like, I don't like the beach. I'm not going. And a Clubhouse friend came down, and after just listening to her my wife talk about the beach for so long, I was like, all right, I'll give it a shot. And I'm glad I did open up my mind to it. And the sand wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. I didn't get wet yesterday, which is when I really hate the sand.
Yep.
But I'm gonna try it next time. But the water was beautiful, really blue, and just taking time to soak it all up and just sit on the beach and just kind of look around and be like, wow, nature is incredible. I bought bikes since I moved down here. We go on bike rides. It's the change of pace from New York is definitely
real.
But it's welcome, honestly. I can go swimming whenever. I was going swimming. I go swimming now. I can go swimming in February. I can go swimming in December.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I can't wait. I'm so excited.
It's amazing. So I'm really excited to have you down here. You definitely need to check out some of the stuff we're doing at the Florida Entrepreneur Club, which is something I co-founded with my co-founder Nick Manaki, who's the chairman of the 1909 in West Palm Beach, and also building a startup down here called Bundle IQ.
Cool.
Would love to connect you with him, as well as get you involved in the club on Clubhouse. I've seen you on Clubhouse. You always have great things to say, so would love to have you there.
Yeah, that all sounds great.
All right, amazing. So yeah, we'll welcome you to the community. One thing I've noticed is people down here are so welcoming.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's insane. I went there, like I said, for 10 days, and there were organized dinners for me so that I could meet everyone.
Amazing. People
and
here
I was
are so
just
great.
like, this is so nice. I was like, guys, I'm really not that cool. And I feel like a lot of pressure to be way cooler than I am. Like,
Oh my God.
God, I'm a mom. And like, I don't drink that often. Like, I swear I'm not going to be that fun. But like, no, they were so welcoming, and everybody is excited to build there
Yes.
together. It feels like honestly, what New York City felt like to me in 2012 when I
That
was
is what
living
I've been telling people. Literally. I mean,
there.
yeah, exactly. Has that same energy. It's incredible down here. I mean,
Yeah.
that's Amanda and my pitch for moving down to Florida. Thanks for
Miami
listening.
is like the new affiliate program.
Yeah,
Like,
thanks for coming to our TED Talk.
yeah, exactly.
All right, so you made it through our conversation, which has been amazing. It's now time for the lightning round. So whenever you're ready, let me know. We'll get started.
I'm nervous, but okay.
All right, here
Let's
we
do
go.
it.
That's my little sound effect.
Love it.
All right, so first question. What would you do if you were invisible for a day?
Oh gosh. Honestly, I would go watch my kids in school and how they interact with other people, because they're sometimes horrible for me because I'm their mom, but I
Uh-huh.
think that they're better with other people. I think that they're pretty great kids, and I'd love to see how they talk and act around other adults.
That's such a mom wholesome answer. I really love it. And I would hope that they live up to the thoughts that you have of them.
Right? We'll see.
Yeah. All right, next question. If you could time travel, where would you go?
Mm, if I could time travel, where would I go? I mean, I want to say like the roaring 20s when prohibition and like speakeasies, because it feels like what I'm doing today. It's like kind
Yes,
of doing
I get that
something illegal
vibe.
in some states. Like, and I just love that everybody was like, I love when people are like, this is a bullshit rule and I'm not going to adhere to it. I love that in all different aspects. And then, I mean, going to the future, I would
Mm,
love to just the speed of technology right now blows my
mine
mind.
too.
And I would love to just like glimpse into the future and be like, are we going to be like, social media is horrible for you? And like, this is like, how are people going to like focus on mental health? We're all going to be like sitting in trees and like on the beach for 8 hours a day, and work will be like 1 hour.
That honestly, it should be that way.
Right?
If it could be that way, it should be that way. At this rate, there's no reason to say why it can't be.
Yeah.
Next question: texting or talking?
I have a few people that I call multiple times a day, and I love talking to them. They're like my codependent besties. But I mean, if you look at my phone, I have so many unresponded to texts that it's embarrassing. Like 333.
Oh my gosh, she's not kidding.
No. So texting I'm horrible at. But yeah, so I think talking I prefer. I'd rather just call somebody and I'm like doing laundry and have a great catch up than trying to text with them all day.
Fair enough. All right, next one. Would you ever go skydiving, or have you?
I've never, but I would. I need someone else to push me out of the plane. Uh, but I want to do it. I think I need to wait until I don't have young kids, because if something were to happen to me,
Yeah,
I need to make sure they're okay. So I think when I turn 50, I will have my youngest will be 18. He will be an adult. So on my 50th birthday, I'll
that's
probably jump out of
that's
a
the
plane.
plan. That's amazing.
That's the plan.
I want to see that for you. I do.
You heard it here first.
Yeah, you heard it here first. All right, last one. How much time do you spend on social media per day?
Oh Lord, I could probably look. So I do time block my calendar. And fun fact, like I literally only tweet, even tweet threads are not like pre-thought through. And I do it when I'm either like walking to the bathroom.
So you tweet in real time.
I tweet in real time, and it's always passive. Like now that I have like more of a creator mentality versus a consumer, I don't mindlessly scroll as much because I'm thinking about what kind of content I want to put out there.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's usually happening in between meetings when I can't achieve anything else. I have 5 minutes from one to the other. And then I only allow myself a TikTok bath, meaning I do this commute bath from, 4:45 to 5:15 when we're doing that transition, when I normally would commute from work. I
Hmm.
take a bath and I get to mindlessly watch TikTok. And then I try not to do any social media before I go to bed.
What's your follow up to that? So do you have favorite TikTok influencers or people you watch?
Yes. I like Drew Coyle is like my Instagram crush. Like if I could meet him one day, great. He just makes me happy. He like just dances and uses a Rubik's cube. And then there are just so many TikTokers that just spit truth about like relationships
Yeah.
and life, and they're doing it in a way that's just like fun, and you feel like you have like support systems. um I mean, that's my For You page. It's a lot of dancing and a lot of like life lessons.
I love that. I love that. I don't use TikTok that much, but I've been spending a lot of time on Clubhouse. And in the early days when I got on the app, I had racked up 33 hours one week, which
Ooh,
is a
I mean,
lot.
the early Clubhouse spiral is real.
It
I
is.
was part of the April 2020 club, which is
Oh
when
wow.
COVID started, and that was when like there were no names on the Clubhouse rooms, meaning like there was no title. You just walked into a room, you had no clue what anybody was talking about. You'd be like, "Hey guys, what's going on in here?" And it was like four people. There's no one in the crowd, and maybe like two people were listening, and that felt kind of creepy, but you were like, who cares? And you just made friends. Like I have so many Clubhouse friends from like the early
Yes.
days.
Oh my God. So I had a slightly different. I got in mid January, January 15th. But it was bigger then. But it was still very close where like all you would join a room and you just make so many friends.
Yeah.
And it's been quite the journey. I'm really I think I mean we could talk about this, but I don't know, I don't want to take up too much of your time because I know you're busy. But there's just so much we can talk about, and I'll have to have you come back for sure to do a talk. We can There's just lots to talk about. But anyway, Amanda, it was really great to have you on. If anyone who's interested getting in touch with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
I mean, Twitter and Instagram, my DMs are open. And I batch them. Like I try to do it like once a week and respond to people. So if people want to reach out, or, my email's out there. So if anybody wants to chat,
And your
send me.
Twitter and Instagram handles are just your name, right?
Amanda M. Goetz on Twitter, and then Goetz AM on Instagram. So that's not very easy, but I think if you
I'll
just
link
search.
to them for sure.
Okay, awesome.
Well, Amanda, it's been a pleasure having you on. I look forward to keeping in touch, and I'll definitely follow up about the House of Wise membership for me and
Yeah,
my wife, and we could be their first wise couple.
I love it. And I can't wait to get down to Florida and hang.
For sure, for sure. Thanks so much. Have a great rest of your day.
You too.